Search for Hurt Season 4, it's happening. I'm beyond excited to see what is to come, and I cannot wait to see what's in store. I don't even know yet, but I wanted to share a little bit about how do we get here? I guess for me, I just saw the call out. They did a thing called qualies or qualifications back in, I think it was October. So basically they wanted to see who can qualify to make it to Hurt Camp. Hurt Camp they had in season 2 previously, which was basically this 24-hour boot camp where they had some absolute weapons go head to head. They tried to belt them down, they tried to destroy their spirits and basically see who comes out on top and who they wanted to see longer term in the show. So they wanted to recreate that with probably a little more structure than it was previously, but also importantly to see who can do the event on the actual show itself. So I just saw the call out to do a qualies. And there were basically 3 different events in this. There was a 5K time trial or a park run. There was a Hyrox PFT, which is basically a 1,000 meter run, 50 burpees over 90 centimeters, 100 lunges, 1 kilometer row, 30 hand release push-ups, and 100 wall balls for time. That's a Hyrox performance fitness test standard that they do. So that was for time. And the third thing was 100 burpees for time. So essentially what everyone had to do was they had a whole month to complete this, and your score was your total time across all 3 events. I had a lot of friends who were doing this as well, so there was some very healthy banter in between, and you can do it as much as you like. So I would throw down a 5K time, someone would beat me, I'd do it again, they'd beat me again, and we just kept going back and forward for a whole month. On these events, and some of them were tough. Like the 100 burpees it's an awkward number because you're going for about 4 minutes on this event. So this is something which tests your endurance, your strength, tests a whole range of different things. So after qualies were over, they took the top 6 guys and the top 6 girls to Hurt Camp. Now I'm not gonna lie, we knew about Hurt Camp about 6 weeks before it was gonna happen, so we had time to train for it, but we did not know what was coming up. All we knew was that we're gonna be in a lot of pain, which I'm pretty sure the producers love. So we had this 6-week window to train. We're doing strength, endurance. They didn't really give us too much, but they just said to be prepared for anything on the day. I have seen the show previously. I'm a fan of Search for Hurt, so I knew what the first one was like, and I assumed it was something similar to that. I had a hiccup, and I haven't really spoken about this one, but 2 weeks before the actual competition, I pulled my hamstring. I was training for some sprints, and I actually did a bit of a turn and sprint because I wasn't sure whether they're going to a combine or something like that. So I was just training for everything. I turned, I did a sprint, and I felt a tear in my hamstring. I initially was very upset and a little bit angry because I had messaged my mate down in Melbourne when we were going to do it. Brad, shout out if you're watching this. I messaged him saying I want to do some sprints. I want to get my body warmed up because I don't want to pull a hammy. I fucking pulled a hammy. Anyway, I was pretty distraught. The crazy thing was I wasn't going too hard with this. We were doing some sprints leading into it, did plenty of stretching. This is about 25 minutes into a bit of a running piece. We'd just done some 50, 40 meter sprints, and we were doing a couple of turn and sprints, and it was on probably the 3rd or 4th last one that I did it. So immediately, obviously, I stopped. I couldn't really walk too much on it. I definitely felt it. I pulled the hamstring before. When you've done one. So very upset. So we're now, it was 15 days out that I actually did it. And obviously that put my training at a bit of a question mark. So I'll be honest with you, I was in doubt for Hurt Camp at this point. Went to the physio. Luckily, Lara, my partner's sister, is a physio, so saw her that afternoon. She said it was a grade 1, light grade 1. She said probably about 7 to 14 days. Comp was 15 days away. So the timing was extremely tight, but I honestly did everything I can. The message from this one is I was in serious doubt for Hurt Camp and even being able to qualify for the actual season itself. And I tried to keep my head up. It was about a 7 to 14 day injury. Comp was 15 days away. I knew I was on the fence. I was going to do everything that I could to make sure my body was completely ready for the actual competition itself. So I went into rehab, did everything I could. I still was training really hard, but absolutely no running, definitely no sprinting to make sure my hamstring was getting strong. I was doing my hamstring strengthening exercises. I was doing absolutely everything as well. And I was trying my best to stay really positive. Anyway, we get to Hurt Camp and we get there, we're nervous, we're excited. We're at this stadium on the Central Coast. It's where the Central Coast Mariners play. It's looking phenomenal. There's massive signs, there's equipment out, there's people around, there's cameras in your face. It was such an aura, it was such an event and such a spectacle. So we get into the stadium and one of the first things is a sprint. And it was the only thing my physio told me not to do is a sprint, and they were testing it. And it was the only thing that I had to pull back on because I did not want to pull a hamstring. It was going to be a long day. we knew we were in for 6-7 events. We didn't know how many, but we knew there was going to be a lot there. Hurt Camp was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my entire life. It was just an all-day boot camp with some of your mates talking shit and just going absolutely balls to the wall on every single event, and nobody was holding back. We were all going so hard, so fast. The first thing we did was kind of a mix between the PFT and the high rocks. One of the things the video probably doesn't really show is it was 30 odd degrees, it was humid, we're in the sun, it's 11 a.m. It was really hot and I feel the heat. So we're going absolutely all out at this event. That was event 1, it went for about 40 minutes and we're just dying on the ground. Some of the boys went out so hot at the start and we're all trying to chase each other down. I think I came into the wall balls at 5th, and that's one of my strengths, so I absolutely just sent it because I was actually feeling pretty good. I felt like I timed the workout really well. I went from 5th to 2nd on that last exercise and crossed the line just behind Danzy, who clipped me, that little bastard. But that was the first event. We did some strongmen after that, which I did well in. I think I actually topped the group stages of that one, but when I went to the final, I got knocked off by Liam. We had obstacle course racing. The zoo was one of my favorite events. So it was a body weight movement workout and you just had to hit it on the minute every minute. That was agonizingly hard. I didn't expect that one to be so difficult. This is something which I would think is in my wheelhouse. When we were there, we were just trying to stick on time with it. It's getting harder. I was starting to really cramp up in my quads. This is the 4th event in about 3 hours. Everyone was there, my partner was there, they're kind of yelling at me to keep going, and made it through that one with a win, which was exciting because it was my first one. And we had to back it up with a bit of a sandbag, burpee, and squat challenge, including some runs in between. And I got back-to-back wins on there, so I was super ecstatic with how I was going. And then the last was obviously the cycle event, which that was tough. That was really tough after a big day on the legs. Came away with a pretty decent score against a couple of guys who do cycle quite a lot. I don't. So for me, that was not one of my, I suppose, strengths. But the whole day was amazing. Like I was extremely sore by the end of it. The energy definitely got me through. I had a few C4s from that, and that helped. I love my energy drinks. I love my caffeine. So we also did a bit of a media event during there too. So they did some interviews. They wanted to know who we are, how we speak, all those kind of things. So we finished the day, and the funny thing with this one is we didn't know who was getting through. It wasn't necessarily based on your score from the events. We knew there was a media component, we knew there was a fitness component. So we actually had no idea who was going to make it in. So we're sitting there for 2 weeks, we're just wondering, like, did I make it, did I not, what are they looking for? Then comes the announcement. I was getting really nervous for the announcement because I just did not know where I sat. No one had any idea. What they wanted to do was they wanted to get us onto this Zoom and slowly just knock people off one by one until they're down to 2 guys, 2 girls. And ironically, the Zoom didn't work. So what they had to do, we had to sit in a waiting room, and they basically went one by one, and we didn't actually know who they were speaking to at that point. And I was getting nervous. I'm sitting there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just waiting. And we finally get pulled in, and there's a few of us getting pulled in. And the first thing that Adam, the producer, said was, "Team Search4Hurt." And that was it. We found out like that on the spot. And I remember this feeling of just, it was like an overwhelm of relief and excitement all in one. And it was just this feeling of like, wow, like what next? Like I'm keen, I'm ready. It was one of the best feelings in my life because it was something I've been working so hard up until I very nearly didn't get to the qualies because of the injury. So that was something which was playing on my mind a little bit. Got through it totally fine and still didn't know until that point. For me, I'm a massive fan of Search4Hurt. I've watched all the past seasons. I'm friends with the guys that are on there, Andrew, Matt, those kind of guys. They're amazing people who've done incredible things in the fitness industry and huge inspirations for people looking to train. I've done many sessions with both of them before. So for me, this is something which I love. Once that happened, we then started our journey with Search4Hurt. So it's been really exciting to date. I'm filming this before we actually do the first event. So whenever you're watching this one, we haven't actually started the actual events. We've done training camp, but I'm super excited for what's coming. I'm pumped for this journey. I said this in the media day as well, but I really see Search4Hurt being such a rich area beyond just the actual TV show and what's kind of coming. I see it as being an inspiration for other people to find their hurt, to find the things that push them, and to find the things where they're pushing their own boundary to better themselves. And I think that the theme around this show is something which can be put into everyday lives and put into everybody. That's something which I really want to try to push. Everyone has a limit, and you can find yours and then try to push your threshold even further. And if people are seeing that, they're witnessing that, they too may get inspired to do the exact same thing. And if that's inspiring other people, then I think it's a job well done. I definitely think we can continue this theme, do other challenges which can cross multiple different events, cross multiple different people, and really get other people engaged in challenging themselves. And that's something which I'm really fond of and I'm hoping to do with this opportunity. But that's a little bit about my story. At this point, nervous and training very, very hard for all the events coming up, and I don't even know most of them yet. So let's see what's to come, but let's work hard and get there.